Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the final deciding game in this quarterfinal match between EmpireKas and roxkisFRAER is going to be decided on Daybreak. We're loading into the map now. Very tense series at the moment, and I would say overall pretty darn close as well. Kas not really exhibiting too much of his normal macro style. We've seen him try interesting things in both games. Let's see what he does here on game number 3. Welcome to Daybreak, ladies and gentlemen, and spawning in the bottom left position as the green Protoss, winning convincingly in game number 1 after holding off that initial pressure, but in game number 2 falling by having his army caught out of position and an excellent EMP. Let's see what he can do in game 3. It's pretty tense. This is roxkisFRAER. And his opponent spawning in the top right position as the red Terran player, playing for Team Empire, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very nice engagement at the end of that game number 2. Scanning ahead, knowing he could take it, and took his chance as soon as he saw it. Will he get the same chance again? It is EmpireKas. Alright guys, so hopefully you have all been enjoying the stream this evening. We're going to see what openers these guys come up with first as the first barracks gets popped down for Kas. But in the meantime, go give Vasacast a little bit of love. They are of course at Vasacast on Twitter. They have organized this tournament. They've put up a $3,000 prize pool and done all sorts of really cool stuff. Their stream is unbelievable as well. They're doing it from studio and everything. They're the premier Italian streamers on the planet. And they've done a fantastic job inviting these wonderful players to this tournament here this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. FRAER now going to be taking his Nexus first by the looks of things on Daybreak. Not an unusual map to go super macro heavy on. Kas, though, he's going to be going for a barracks first before thinking about expanding. He hasn't taken any gas yet, so it does actually look like an expand build. And there goes the SCV down to the low ground. No, it's actually going to be for a scout. So maybe he'll send another one, and yes, there it goes. So I suspect that is going to be for a command center. Gateway now going down for FRAER, and yes, indeed, I actually saw in the chat someone said, holy crap, these Italian guys, they're amazing. I had to turn my volume down from 50 to 10, and the energy was still absolutely tip-top, turned up to 11. That is exactly how I would describe Vasacast. He can make a Zealot attacking a supply depot seem like a scene from, like, I don't know, like Spartacus or something. The guy is unbelievably energetic, and he makes everything so entertaining. So do go check them out as well. Of course, the game I'm not casting next, I believe they will be. So we'll be sharing out the quarterfinals between us. Now, we have got the cybernetics core going down now for our Protoss player. Everything looking very normal so far. We have the second and third barracks coming down after the expansion from Kas as well. So a pretty normal build so far. We should be seeing the double gas taken at some point in the near future to allow him to get Tech Lab and grab Stim as quickly as possible for his bio units, of course, as well as grabbing a factory, then a starport down so he can get those medevacs to heal those bio units. In the meantime, though, FRAER's play still not yet decided. We'll check out what kind of tech paths he chooses to go in just a bit. He hasn't quite accumulated enough gas for us to reveal what he's doing right now. He just wants to be grabbing some probes out at this point of the game if he can help it, which is why he's sending a Zealot out to scout. He wants to make sure there's no super early crazy aggression coming in from Kas so that he knows it's safe to spend his chrono boost on probes to try and get a little bit of aggression in order later on so he can eco up right now. Oh, and we have 4 Marines almost kiting a Zealot to death there. Really close indeed, but FRAER just about manages to make it out. We have got the Tech Lab down. He's going to be going for Stim very shortly indeed, and there we go. Stim starts just as the robotics facility starts as well for FRAER. So 1 gate robotics facility, and we have a pylon going down here, which will likely be the home to a couple more gateways. And Kas being just want to double check there's no Zealot or Stalker at this watchtower, coming down with 5 Marines but leaving 1 behind later on. This guy, obviously, Billy No Mates, drew the short straw, and if any sort of army comes in, not only is he going to die first, but he has his back to them as well. Pretty rough life, man, if you're a Marine right now. No additional add-ons just yet. We do, however, have a reasonably quick engineering bay, and +1 could be timed out with stim at this point. About 120 seconds left there, and 160 seconds left on the +1. So not quite exact timing, but this could potentially be a stim +1 pressure coming out of Kas. We'll keep an eye out on that in a second. Both gases now being taken in the natural expansion for FRAER, and he has started up Immortal production as well. Now, that is a Stalker. Has he got an Observer out on the field? That's a Sentry as well. So no Observer as it currently stands for our Protoss player. He's going straight into Immortal production, just to make sure he can hold off any early Marauder timing possibility. And then he's going to go for the Observer while simultaneously grabbing that Robotics Bay, which I believe is, there we go, behind the mineral line in his natural. So going for very quick Colossi indeed. Very similar to what we saw earlier today, I believe, with White Raw as well. Enjoying his quick Colossi. So let's see how well that fares for FRAER here in game number 3. Winner goes on to the semifinals, and the loser bows out of the tournament. So a lot at stake here. An extra reactor coming down there, and indeed another one on the factory, which might get swapped over with the barracks. Or might get swapped over with the starport, actually. What am I talking about? But normally we would see a second reactor on these racks as well, later on in the game. +1 is nearly complete. Let's see if Kas has some plans for this army. I like that he's positioned here. He can come and defend at the ramp if he needs to. He can also defend an army trying to flank up towards the third base. And does Kas see the Observer? The Observer moving up onto the high ground right now. And I don't think Kas isn't moving the Marines over, so he might have lost sight of it. He's moving out to the watchtower right now. And those Stalkers do not want to mess with this army, but it's probably also not worth a stim to kill them both. Combat shields now starting for Kas. Factory is going to float off, and the Observer has decided that this is a good place to live just to check out all the tech that is incoming. In the meantime, Colossus production has indeed started, and we're rallying to the front of the natural. FRAER currently on 81 supply, Kas on 89. We have extended thermal lance about 2/3 of the way done here, and Kas with a decent standing army at his defensive watchtower. The worker supply is 51 to 45 in favor of Kas. We've gone up to 6 gateways in the main base in the meantime for FRAER, and he's continuing Colossus production. When extended thermal lance is done, we'll see what he does. He has also gone to his own watchtower, but Kas is moving out with a sizable force here. Let's see if he wants to take this army on. With the Guardian Shield goes up, so FRAER is not afraid of this engagement at all, but Kas having to stim and run away. He's actually going to be running towards a third base location, and the Observer behind the medevac sees exactly that. So FRAER is able to get his army in position completely comfortably. And, wow, needs to be careful there. Kas could spot the Observer and scan and kill it at pretty much any moment. And Kas, behind this, is going to be taking his third base. Concussive Shell and more Marauders now popping out too. And sadly, oh, look at that. Just stands there as if stunned and starts bleeding. That's a rough way to die, man. That Zealot completely takes that Marine apart, so that the third base for FRAER is also free to take. Meanwhile, this factory just going to be scouting for any armies that are popping down via the southern route, so that he knows that FRAER is going to be popping via the northern one. It's a pretty cool thing to do. The probe has managed to get in via here, and is he going to walk straight into the army that's holding the watchtower? Yes, he is, but here we go. The start of the engagement looks like it started. We have the Guardian Shield going up for FRAER. He is not afraid of this, but needs to be very careful. Kas has a decent bio army standing, and the probe and pylon are first to get picked off, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get reinforcements in here. Another Colossus joins in. A couple of force fields go down, and Kas has a pretty decent concave, but is it going to be enough? A lot of DPS coming out of here from FRAER, and the Colossi are doing tremendous amounts of damage. The supplies are practically even, though 116 to 113 as it currently stands, but FRAER able to get a little bit more map position. Now he might be moving in towards the natural. The army is trapped towards the third base, floating the orbital command and bringing some SCVs back as well. Is it going to be enough? Here comes the DPS, bringing all of his SCVs to bear on this army, but it looks like the Colossi are actually being driven backwards at the moment. A couple of Vikings almost picking off one Colossus, but not quite. And FRAER is going to back off, but Kas brought a lot of SCVs to defend this. Is it going to be enough? Are we going to see a follow-up push come out of FRAER? He has decided that, yes, he's going to put down another pylon, break down these rocks, and possibly go up for round number 2. Needs to be careful of those Vikings, though, and it looks like he might just move straight up the ramp if there's an issue. Now up to 4 Vikings. That's going to help a lot. Not quite able to snipe any off with the Stalker, and Kas looking to get aggressive. He needs to make sure that these SCVs tank a lot of damage or are mining. One or the other would be good. but neither is a disaster. He's losing income at the moment. If you take a look at the income, Kas is basically slightly behind FRAER, even though FRAER is only on 2 bases, because Kas has landed that 3rd orbital. And here we go. The army looks a little bit sectioned at the moment. The observer sees the movements of everything, so FRAER can pick and choose his engagement. And Kas is fighting for his life right now. A lot of SCVs in this army composition. A good swipe by the Colossi, dealing a lot of damage to the front line. Trying to kite back, and now FRAER is going in for the full engagement. The Stalkers are targeting down the Colossi. How many Colossi are left? There are still 3. It's going to be incredibly difficult here, and it looks like everything is melting. Kas going down to below 100 supply. FRAER is still on 115. And he is going to be marching through Kas at this point. The medevacs are there, but there is nothing for them to heal, as Kas drops to 75 supply and below, and it looks like this game is over. FRAER will be advancing to the semifinals of the Vasacast Invitational. Kas continuing to rally out as many units as he possibly can, but there is nothing to counter these Colossi right now. It is not looking good for him at all, and I think he knows that the 3rd orbital is about to go down. FRAER being very methodical about this. And here he goes. A lot of SCVs to finish it off, but they all get absolutely lasered as soon as they come within range of that extended thermal lance. He is now down to 50 supply. The final 2 Vikings go down. GG! And FRAER wins the series over Kas.